Good morning. Good morning to everybody. I'm BISWAS, Academic Counselor of IGNO. This is MMPH. Today the course is MMPH007, and that is compensation and reverse management. So today we have to discuss the basis of wage determination and legal frameworks. So first see the structure of the particular this unit number 5, where the basis of wage determinations that we have to see. Then economic aspect of the wage determinations, sociological, political, psychological, and the ethical aspects, and organization's ability to pay, prevailing market rate, etc., and the cost of living and productivity. So, and what the way the trade unions are also involved this process, bargaining process, and job evaluations in total based on the work, the pay is correctly, equally paid or not. That part during the evaluation part, that it is justified or not. So this is the structure of this unit 5. Then the basis of the wage determination basically is the wage and salary remunerations. What they are saying, remunerations. The administrations or the compensations in a significant aspect of the human resource management, because any organization's salary package is very important. That should be attractive, that should be realistic, and that should be marketable, means sustainable. It should be, people can be sustained. Compensation through the primary involves the economic considerations, because the compensation basically it is the rules are there. Basically, it will considered by the economy, where just for example, the factors are social, then your psychological, political, and ethical practice. That should be the relevance portions. The concept is basically, you see, any as such, normally you are practicing the appointment letter, or during the time of joining, everybody have come across that is some sort of contract of employment. There is term and condition. There may be 10 pages, 15 pages, depending on the company's rule and regulations. Employee has to sign. At the time of joining of the company, you have to sign as an agreement. That is basically the contract of employment. They are actually the contract of agreement or employment, basically where it has been written what should be the package, what should be the benefits, future growth, even in the leave also, breakup of the salaries, everything are defined. And if any disputes, that also are given. So, payable to a person employed in respect to the employment or the work done in such a employment. So, how much work to be done? It has been defined based on the during the process in the before the wage concept. I mean, first is the job has been decided, then how much work calculated, and in ratio, in terms, how much pay should be there, that has been is a calculation part. So payment, or we can say the remuneration for the services is rendered. So it has to, how much should be given, relatively okay. Uh, this is the basically we can say the wages. The remuneration, you can say the remuneration or the payment or salary, everything are depending on the levels. For example, in the case of the lecturing, suppose first sessions this much, second, if it is two sessions another. So everything is a rate of a rate on the rate of the sessions, how much should be there. So everything are fixed by the management. So in the organizations also, if it is 8-hour works, in the work levels, define what type of level of work. It has defined the already the payment, the remunerations are already decided in all levels like this. Now we see the classification, how it has classified. Out of that, there are 6 broad categories has been considered. There are statutory minimum wages, then the bare subsistence of the minimum wages, or we can say that is a living wages that people can live happily. Then your fair wages that should be reasonable compared to other companies, or not only compared to other companies socially, and your economic conditions, considering the economic conditions, that should be fair enough, and equally it should be justified. Particular one level, how much wages should be there, and that should be very big differences. Differences should be less, and equal justifications. So that should be any fair system should be there. Minimum wages, how much wages really required to cut off point. Then need-based minimum wages, really it is required or not, based on the work, or skilling is required or not. Based on this, the minimum wages have been fixed. For those who are highly technical skilled people, and which is really needed for the work point of view, the employment point of view. So that case, you have to decide it how much wages should be there. And the minimum amount has been fixed by the regulation or by the company. Then economic aspect of the wage determinations is another area to look after. That is the employees' compensations is an important component of the cost of the productions of the employers. Because cost of the productions are important factors. Considering these factors, you have to decide how much compensation should be given. Political considerations are also required, because that should be, again, it should be fair enough, so that there should not be any dispute. Trade unions involvement is also required during this process. Collective bargaining greatly influence the process of the wage fixation. At the time of fixations, the trade union involvement, political involvement is also required, so that in future there should not be any conflict or any differences should not be there. Government also interferes in deciding the wage related issues, if any something or dispute or something, or control. Basically, the control everything, so that the freedom of the parties to decide the wage uses issues on their own, because everyone on the employee side, on the employer side, maybe there are some issues are there for the deciding the wage issues. So government involvement is required. They are interfering, so that deciding the how much should be there. So related issues are governed by the government. The legislation relating to minimum wages, bonus, constitutions of tripartite wage boards are the examples in India, which all under the categories, because it's all legislations passed by the different act of the labor amendment, labor code, how much bonus should be there, what should be the type of incentives, everything are by the tripartite wage boards, they are deciding the things. Ethical aspects of the wage determinations, because in this case there should be also fairness, because again the fairness is very important when you are formulating the norms and regulations. So considering the wage fixations, the wage should be such a way so that should be exploited, should not be exploited, and there should not be no discrimination of wages on the basis of caste, color, sex, and religions. So that part is a matter. Uh, while the fixing the wages, an employer should take these factors into consideration. It means the employer should take all these aspects from the all angles, caste, color, religious, etc. Corporate compensation policy, in this case, is considering simultaneously the community concerns, then economic and social concerns, companies' own objectives, and the plan for the expansion and the diversifications, and employees' concerns. Because there are three things to be seen. Community concern is one thing. When you are preparing some of the packages or something, compensation policy, when you are making the compensation policy, you have to consider community also. Every company has a mission, vision, or objectives. So that has also to be considered. So corporate compensation policy cannot be conceived in isolation from the community goals and the environment. So as per the policy concerns, every corporate, any company, they are because business are basically uh, for the purpose of the people only, because the community purposes. So that motto, ultimately, the requirement of the community very primarily important. So, and environment is also, because now there's another rules, if there's any policies, you have to part of the your environment part is also there. Then it happens if the bulk of wages increases are linked to cost reductions of the gains in the productivity, because rates, basically fixing the rates, sometimes this go up, but this should be non-inflationary. Inflationary. This can happen. The bulk wage increases are linked to cost reductions of the gains in the productivity. Wage output relationships is optimized or the latest stabilized with the wage and the cost controls providing an aid. Employees are motivated to give higher performance by operationalizing among their teams. You see, here actually we are talking about the corporate compensation, because corporate policy are to be made in such a way so that employee can be motivated. Their pay should be on the base of merit. The basis of merit, their performance linked reward systems to be there. Based on the performance, some award systems should be there. Apart from the salaries or within the one of the item of the packages. So this is the way the policy are to be prepared, should be a perfect harmony with the interest of the company. And again, the stockholder, that is your shareholders, are also to be considered, because they should feel happy. Yes, this company where my invested money are there, utilizing it properly, and growth. So organization's ability to pay. So higher wages are paid by those organizations which are able to afford them. Because suppose a policy is there, wages has been prepared, but there should be capacity, that type of ability should be there, effort, because otherwise the salary wages are big amount and the profit level are definitely it will be goes down. So that part is also see from the organizational point of view when you are preparing the policy for the pay. So pay should be in a rational way so that company should be organization should be able to pay this amount should be sustain a retain. Suppose for 1 year I am giving this much salaries, but after that it is not feasible. That much amount are not feasible. So that part I want to see it. Organizations which have high profits pay higher wages, definitely, and which are running at the loss have not low profit because you see that if the organizations are profitable, profit are high, they are they pay higher wages, and which are running at a sometimes loss because profit is loss. So that case it may be a problem. So employers pay high wages because of their increased ability to pay, but during the period of depressions, it may resort to wage cuts because of the lack of sufficient funds. Because it has happened sometimes the company because of the fund problem, in the insufficient funds, the job cut is normally we are hearing the newspapers and the news globally, all the international companies, the job cut are there. Why they are job cut on all these things, reducing the manpower? Because only they are clearing the pay package. Because they are reducing the profit margin should not be goes down. Because it will affect in the market also. So uh, this is the part very important from the organizational ability to pay when they're preparing the wage packages. So prevailing the market rate because market rate is also see the going wage rate is another criteria for the fixation of the wages, and the organization has to pay wages in conformity with that of the industry and the community. This is being done for several reasons. First, in the prevailing competitive market, because the market is very competitive, so every employer is expected to pay a uniform wages. Second thing, various government laws and judicial pronouncements propose for adaptation of the uniform wages. And thirdly, the trade unions also support this practice as their members can have equal pay in spite of the geographical differences because union are demanding even in the different location of the factory or units, payment should be same even though it is a different location of the geographical because it has earlier the thought process was like this because if it is in a remote area so the city allows the city compensation allows or we can say the cost basically living cost little less because when they're in the metros are little costly so allowance of the city allowance are different mostly uh, even though still today also most of the companies are doing this way even in the when the employees are going to the in the tour or travels because that time they are for the official trips they are taking the hotels or the this accommodation that label is there. If it is a metro, this rates are considering. If it is a non-metro class A, class B uh, cities, so definitely their rate is also less. Maybe for example, if it is A class cities means Delhi, Bombay, Kolkata or Bangalore, like they are A grade A class cities because their rate is maybe 4,000 per day room rate, hotel room rate for meeting purposes or business purposes. But if this visit or menu for the meetings are in different locations or not in metros, so maybe they are considering as a B class cities and the rate should be maybe 2,000 something per day. So this is the way depending on the geographical locations, are deciding the pay packages also and other expenditures. Fourthly, the functionally related to organizations within the same industry will be look at the same type of employees in terms of quality and experience. This is also very important. So this is yes that the prevalence of a uniform wage and the salary rates. Finally, if an organization does not pay the same wage rates as paid by its competitors, it will not be able to attract the requisite quality and the quantity of the manpower and retain them. Because some competitor, other company, they are paying more for their workers, maybe in the same type of nature of work, same type of product. So it may be create a differences and it will create in the mind, oh, I am not paying the this much amount. Other company is paying. My colleagues and my friends are getting more. So that type of different mindset may be create or it will not attract very much. So that's why. And finally, in the organization point of view, to see your package should be prevailing the market. It means so that the employee will not search the job for other companies. When they will start comparing, see maybe marginal differences, so they will be retained. That is the idea. And quality part will be there. The cost of the living, because it is another criteria for which and salary adjustment purposes, because the increase it may be increase or decrease depending on the inflations or all these things. Because they can what about the basic needs are to be fulfilled. When the cost of living increases, it is followed by a demand from the workers or the trade unions to increase the wages of offset. It impact on the real wages. So for example, that is the DA. DA is determined and influenced by the numerous factors such as it is union and management policies, labor code decisions, government policy, and the movements of the consumer price index (CPI). So all these things are considering when they are declaring the DA, maybe 3%, 4%. Most of the government companies, the DA are increasing, decreasing very rare, but that is considering it is a government policy. Uh, the consumer price index are things. So, but the purpose is cost of living, basically to compensate the cost in the market, living people can stay habit. Rate of growth of CPI in different stations and the centers is uneven. As per the CPI is also uneven, that the CPI marks, that mark is there, maybe 200 points, 300 points, 100 points. The points are calculated in a different station to different stations. Maybe in the hill area different, the cities will be different. The productivity, there is another criteria which has a bearing on the wage and the salary rates. Productivity is generally measured in terms of the output per man hour. So productivity is a sum of the ratio. You can say that is the in terms of man hour. So output productions are measured by the manpower and man hour. How much manpower you are utilizing for this. So productivity is an output measure of the combined combination of all resources like the manpower, machines, methods, material, management. So controlling, even in the learning process, everything are considering as a to be measured at time to combine. So productivity cannot be measured exclusively for any specific factor of the productions. Because when you are seeing the productivity, all these factors are also involved. Because there also time is devoted, even for the trainer, for the training purposes, they are trained for this particular purpose. That much, that is all that manpower is also to be considered. Trade unions bargaining power, the trade unions play a significant role in the process of fixation of the wage and the salaries, because if the union is very strong, so maybe they can bargain well. The trade union then higher wages are likely to be they can negotiate and bargain. Vice versa, if the union is not strong enough, in that case they may not be um, take that type of advantage to pressurize the management to higher wages rates. So sometimes it has because of the strike and threat of the strike can use as a powerful weapon to pressurize the management because sometimes the trade union are demanding this much wages. Otherwise, if you are not fulfilled, they can give a threat to the management will go for the strike. So that type of situations are there. So thus increase of the wages is often achieved for the employees as a consequence of the trade union and bargaining power. So now the job evaluations. Job evaluations is basically the equitable wage structures, or you can say internal equity implies that the wage differentials are based on the degree of difficulty of the job. Systematic makeup, because job analysis actually it is a systematic method for evaluating the job in relation to other jobs in an organization, ensuring equity in the interest for the jobs. Because justification, because yes, these jobs are how much manpower is required. Based on this much amount are already fixed, so that is justified, and that is by the evaluations process. Some scientific process is also there. Data analysis process can be can be achieved. So job evaluation is usually undertaken to resolve the existing irrational. It is not a rational way because some any difficulties or any errors or irrational things are there, inequalities are there in the wage rates. So that can be pointed out, that can be area can be localized and analysis further. So sometimes become this source of the conflict source of there, but it can be negotiable, it can be solved. So precautions include that is one of the adoption of the systematic procedures. Definitely, we have to adopt the systematic procedures for the job analysis because if we not systemize or we are not analyzes the things, then maybe some loopholes, then inequalities will be inbuilt automatically. So that's why the evaluations are very important from that angle, so that in the future this type of ambiguities will be there. The constitution of a job evaluation committee, that's why the job evaluation committee should be there, and where the union functionary is on it. Then recognitions and the treatment of the wage grievances as a distinct from matters pertaining to and arising out of the job evaluation programs. Because joint venture is very collaborative way we have to finalize the things. So this is the evaluation process. Now some of the questions are in this pertaining to unit number 5. Here actually for the base wages determinations, that's what factors go into the determinations of pay in an organization. That type of questions may come. Another questions may come, that is they explain the economic, sociological, political, psychological, and ethical aspects related to wage fixations. Or here you can explain with an example in regards to our Indian systems. Maybe the questions may come. This is the way to elaborate the things. You have to first give you the definitions. Some of the things are you have to elaborate. Then finally you have to write, evaluate the things and give you with examples. So are wages determinant only on the basis of the demand and supply of labor, or if you feel more areas are to be determined, then you have written what are the determinants of theirs, which are really influence the things, the wages they. So that you have to explain. Fourth question is discuss the role of productivity and bargaining power of trade unions relating to wage fixations. So this type of questions are normally likely to be come in the exam. So all these answers are located. I think you can get it from the IGNOU study materials where it is there. So if you go through the unit number 5, definitely it will be. Now we have to go for the unit number 6, framework, basically the legal framework. In this unit, we have to study, we have to discuss, that is your statutory minimum wages, what should be minimum wages, what are the acts are there, then bare subsistence, the minimum wage, living wages, fair wages, and reasonable wages, then minimum wages, need-based minimum wages, then definition of wages under various labor legislation, and definition of wage under the wage code 2019. There are the 2019 there are a lot of codes has come. That what do that part of this is the structure, and this is the unit number 6 are partly to this area. So in total it is a legal frameworks. Within this frame, we have to consider these things. Now, on 6 broad areas, that is statutory minimum wages, bare subsistence, living, as I said, the bare wages minimum, these all are legal frameworks. The statutory minimum wages, normally it is prescribed in the Minimum Wages Act, which is 1948, where the higher than the bare subsistence of the minimum wages, providing for some measures of the education, medical requirements, amenities, everything are for the words. As this act are normally in the 1948, just after the independence, it has been prescribed these things. According to Section 4 of the Minimum Wages Act 1948, and the minimum wages fixed or revised under Section 3 by the appropriate government is in respect the same that the basic rate of wages and the special allowance it is defined there. So if you go through the Minimum Wages Act, you can download in the from the Google itself or any books, and you can go through this. What are the article? I mean, the sections are described where the basic rate and wages are defined. I mean, what special allowances are given. Basic rate of the wages with or without the cost of the living allowance, because without with or without both the cost of living has been defined in such a way your with and without both the cases basic rate of wages is being defined. Whereas it is some sort of bifurcated so that easily can understand which are the portions are, which are the components are related to each other. In an inclusive rate allowing for the basic rate, the cost of living, all inclusive rate, and then another breakup summarize, you can say to summarize the things, inclusive the rate allowance where the cost of living are. So basically 1, 2, 3 has been the as per the sections it is given. Breakup, basically the breakup has given. The cost of living allowances and the cash value of the consensus. So everything are detailing, basically the detailing are you can get it from the sections. Then bare subsistence of the minimum, or we can say the minimum wages. The rate of wages which would be sufficient to cover the physical needs, and just bold the area, the physical needs means this is the your physical needs of the worker, as well as his or her family, irrespective of the capacity of the industrial base. So that is also again by the described by the uh, different forums on different journals is published, and as well as the Union of India Legal Frameworks, Article 1951. You can go through this. There is section is 339. Section you can get it. So the living wages basically it is a harvester case define the living wages as one appropriate, but the normal needs of the average employee regarded as a human being living in a civilized community. In a civilized community, so that you can survive, what are the basic needs? That is your living wages. So many other authors are also described in different way. As it has been considered that according to him, they have written the wages must provide not merely the absolute essentials such as food and clothing, but a condition of the economical comfort estimated by current human standards. Because some economical comfort is also very much needed along with all these things. Author actually he explained it further by saying that it was a with sufficient to ensure the workmen food, shelter, clothing, fuel, comfort, provisions for evil days, even in the very bad days, we can say it. So you can survive, as well as the regard for the special skill of an artisan if he is one. Because if he has some special skills, then definitely his wages will be different. So, considering all these things are the part of your living wages. Now, fair wages, this is, you can say your reasonable wages. The committee on the fair wages say that the fair wages lies between the minimum wages and the living wages, in between. Equality, because it is not a minimum wages, neither it is a minimum wages, neither it is a living wages, in between. Some intermediate points are there. That type of wages where everybody will be happy. Or in a program conditions, equality. It's because the equity are there. So this type of fair wages are will reduce the conflict. Basically, within the workers, within the different levels are things. Because it is neither to those who are in the lower levels, they are feeling okay, our salary, our wages are near to hand grade. So that type of feelings will be there. So lying in between the two limits, the determining the actual wages will depend on the following factors. The Government of India, the report of the committee on the fair wages cited in the report, National Commission of the Labour 1959 is already given. The productivity of the labor already it is defined. Then the prevailing rates of the wages. Third is the level of the national income and the distributions. And fourth is the place of industry in the economy of the country. So all these are considering the in case of your fair wages. So committee of the fair wages stated that the minimum wage must provide not merely for the subsistence of life but for the preservation of the further converting measure of the education, medical requirements and the amenities. Because this is the additional part a committee has been stated. Then considering this, not only the salary, the employee should get the medical, they should get their children's allowances. So this that amenities should be given. This we can say is a minimum. So committee also stated that the industry which was incapable of paying these minimum wages had no right to exist, because committees also decided it is very important. If they are not enough to pay these salaries or paying the minimum wages, they have no right to exist. They have to stop their business. And for fixing the minimum wages, they have to change their pay structures or wage structures. No regard should be paid to the capacity of the industry to pay, and it should be based on the requirements of the worker and his family. So, Government of India report of the Committee on the Fair Wages, page number 15, it is cited in the report, the National Commission on Labour, 1959. Here, actually, I just try to emphasize one thing. When you are deriving, when you are the definition minimum wages when you are writing, okay, definition concept definitely you have to write it. At the same time, you try to put all the where it is located. The which report committee. Even in the page number also, if you memorize, this is good, because that impression will be good. The evaluator or the examiner will feel happy. Your concept is clear. At the same time, you are giving a reference from where you get it and where it is available. So that is very important. Need-based minimum wage is the fifth Indian Labour Conference held in 1957. For the first time, described the concept of the minimum wages, industrial work, norm set in the ILC, and said that with regard to the minimum wages, it's need-based, because minimum wages again should be need-based, and it is ensure that the minimum human needs of the industrial worker and his family, irrespective of their consideration. So that is again it is a depending to organization, company to company. Maybe it has to be escalated, should be analysis and maybe discuss a lot, well debated, then finalize the formulations are required, which are the needs are really required. ILC further held to calculate even actually ILC, Indian level, they have already formulated a lot of things. Typically, time to time it is revised, amended, when it is required, calculating the things. So to calculate the minimum wages, the committee accepted the following 5 norms, because and they have recommended also. They have accepted the 5. There have been so many norms. Out of that 5 norms, they have adopted, accepted it, and recommended. They should guide all the wage fixing authorities based on this, including the minimum wage committees, wage boards, then educators, etc. Need-based minimum wage is calculating the minimum wages. Standard working class family should be taken to consist 3 consumption units for 1 earner and 74 legal frameworks of the compensations, and the rewards that earning of the women, children, and adolescents should be disregarded, because 14 to 18, this age group, were discouraged, because you have to disregard it, because that type of teenagers should not involve in this. At least 18 and above is required. So minimum food requirements should be calculated based on the intake of the 2,700 calories. These all are recommended by the acquired from the average Indian adult of the moderate size. So everything is a need based, because need based are found. Clothing is another thing, 18 years of the minimum. So workers' family, for total of 74 years within housing, rent corresponding. So all the scheme of the things are implemented. Fuel, lighting of the other miscellaneous of the expenditure should consist 20% of the total minimum wages. So these are all are need based. Then bonus. There's another issue important is payment of bonus act. This is 1965. The bonus act is there. It aims at providing the bonus linked with profit because particular one annually report the budgetary financial year. What is the profit? We can say the productivity. Based on this, the employees will get the certain amount or as a for matter of the connected there. So that bonus are basically the based on the productivity and it should be productive. And to impose the statutory liability upon the employer of the establishment covered by the act to pay bonus to them because it is some statutory liabilities are there. The employer should pay the bonus to the employees of their establishment. To define the principle of the payment of bonus according to the prescribed formula. So formula is there to provide for the payment of minimum and maximum bonus. Some minimum amount will be there and maximum limit is there. To provide the machinery for enforcement of the liability for the payment of bonus with a view to minimizing the disputes on this account. So some of the following act is there. So it is all a bonus act. There are so many the part of this bonus act basically. The minimum bonus rate, minimum areas of the wages, mode and the time limit of the bonus, then set up maximum bonus, bonus linked with the productions. These all are things. And the right to the employees. So another act that is 1965 that is defined the bonus that is the payment of bonus applies to every factory and every establishment in which the 20 or more work persons. This is the important thing. Where the 20 or more persons are employed on any day during the accounting year, so they are eligible for the bonus. The definition of the factory in under the Factories Act 1948 is another act is Factory Act. Under the act, establishment has been defined as the place in which one of the permanently fixed for business with necessary equipment and offer for places of the business. And your establishment covered under the act shall continue to be governed by the act. So there are so many things are written in the act. Main thing is that it will be summarized as eligibility. Every employee should be entitled to be paid bonus. That is the main thing. Now, provided he or she has worked for at least 30 working days in a year. If he worked 30 days in a year, then he is eligible for the bonus. That is the important thing. Now we are talking about the eligibility. Now, disqualification of bonus. So under the Act, employees may be disqualified from receiving the bonus if he or she is dismissed from service or for fraud, rioters, or the violent behavior, or theft, misappropriations, or sabotage of the property of the study. If any allegations are there, so they will not be eligible for the bonus, they will be disqualified. Maximum bonus, what is the rule? The bonus shall be an amount in proportion to the salary or wage earned by the employee, subject to a maximum of 20% of the such salary. Now here the point is to be remembered that is 20%. So maximum bonus limit is 20% of what? The salary or wages is earned. So that is the limit. That we can say the maximum limit. Reduction in bonus. So where an employee has not worked the product basis worked for an working days in an accounting year, particular working accounting year is not worked. So if the minimum bonus of 100 rupees higher than 8.33% of the salary or wages for the days he has worked shall be proportionately reduced. So accordingly, it shall be reduced, proportionally reduced. Enforcement should be there and equal remunerations. It is the Act in 1976. So as we know, uh, equality, I think lot of amendment or inclusions are also there. So equal remunerations of the men and women workers and for the prevention of the discriminations of the ground of sex, then against the women in the matter of employment and for the matters connected there, the incidential. So duty of the employer to pay equal remunerations to men and women workers for the same work or the work for the similar nature work or same work, then the employer has the responsibility to give the remuneration, equal remunerations. Now, no discrimination should be made while recruiting the men and women. Another, in the Act is written that we cannot discriminations, men and women, and the commencement of this Act. In case where an employer pays less than the minimum wages fixed by the provincial government, a summary procedure has been provided for recovery of the balance with penalty and subsequent prosecutions of the offending party. So, rule is there, some procedures are there. If the employer not paying the things in case, then that provision is there. You can go for the court and that offending and you can get it. So minimum wages are fixed by the provincial government, which are bound to be given by the employer. So feature of the payment of wages. Now 1948, some features are there, that is ensuring the regularity of the payment. Means every month, first day of the day or last day of the month, the payment should be reimbursed. Ensuring the payment in legal tender, total it should be in a documented way. Then preventing the arbitrary deductions, restricting the employer's right to impose fines, etc. Providing the remedy to workers. So these all are the basic features in the Act. The main features. Main features you see here, interesting thing. In the Act, you see there are 1948. After that, now it is obviously it is revised. You see the Remuneration Act 1976 is all 76. But that time, some main features has been included. A duty of the employer to pay equal remunerations to men and women is a duty, responsibility. No discriminations. Power of appropriate government to appoint the authorities for the hearing and deciding the matters. So these all are based on the 1976. Duty of the employer to maintain the registered records. Appointment of the inspectors, penalties, and provision of the. These all are the Act. These all are inclusions in the 1976. The silent features. 1972, the Gratuity Act. There, some of the features are there. Every employee, irrespective of his wages, entitles for the gratuity is rendered qualifying their services. Based on the gratuity is there. Now to see how much days and services, that is part. So first things, Gratuity Act is there. The Gratuity Act, and every employee has to be. The only prescribed method of this calculation of the gratuity is payment flow. Now we have to see what's the calculation. So, no unauthorized deductions to be made from the gratuity. Facility of nominations, because we consider nomination should be the mode of payment as per the choice of workman, what the way he has got to take it. Employers to obtain the compulsory insurance, approve the gratuity funds only. Protection of gratuity against the attachments. Employers are required to maintain the proper records of the gratuity related schemes. And the scheme called the employers now the pension schemes. Now pension scheme in the according to the provision of the section 66A of the employers provident fund, because the pension schemes again is a part of your provident fund scheme and the miscellaneous provisions of 1952, where it has been mentioned the pension provident fund. So superannuation pension, retiring the pensions, or we can say the permanent total disablement pensions to the employees of any establishment or class of establishments to which the Act applies. Widow and the widowers' pensions, children pensions, or orphan pensions, everything are both the beneficiaries are defined in the Act. The Act further provides the employers contribution not exceeding 8.33% of the basic wages, dearness allowance of the employees, also to be contributed in employees' provident fund. So it can be the contributions, employers' contribution 8.33% has to be given. So contribution of the employee, that is 12% of the pay, as per the Provision Act of 1952. Pay includes basically the basic wages, GMS allowance, cash value of the food concessions, and also the leave encashment will be included. Then 12% of the pay, I mean the total things. Retaining allowances means allowance payable for the time in the employers. Voluntary contributions are there. The minimum provident fund contributions are 12% of the pay, and maximum provident fund contributions 100% of the pay. Now see some of the questions. Type of questions are maybe likely to be in particular in this unit. How minimum wage differs from the need-based minimum wages? Question will come. Then, what is living wages? What is living wages? All the questions should be with the example, because first you have to write the definition, the concept, and some of the paragraphs. Then constitutions provided for securing living wages workers. That constitutions, if something acts are there, you have to define the some of the which acts are there. Then identifying such elements of the wages which are common in all the statutory definitions. So there you have to identify and you have to read. And everything all are lying in the units. If you go through this, definitely you will get it. Write in your own way, point-wise described. What are the factors that are to be taken into account while fixing the minimum wages? So that is very important questions. Question number 4. What are the factors to be considered when you are fixing the minimum wages? As we have seen earlier in the slides, there are so many things are considered. Your educations, insurance, and pay, definitely the pay. Maybe not only the particular salary you have to work, basis. You have to see the consider the other factors also. So that you have to write the factors, elaborate a little bit, and you have to give some examples. Then, what is the concept of which under the which code, your 2019, that you have to write. What are the codification has given based on this, what are the concept of these things. So this type of questions are enough for this particular unit 6. If you go through these units questions, you can enough to find out from the unit 6. And probably I hope the questions may there is sufficient to cover up these questions. Similarly, as the time of earlier we have discussed around these questions also earlier session. I mean, in the here also that unit number 5, where the factors go into the determination of the pay. What are the factors of the pay? Here is also economic, social, then these considerations related to wage fixations. Then what are the basis for these things? Then discuss the role of productivity and bargaining. So these two units are basically it is a compensation reward process and legal framework. We are to the block name is a framework. What are the framework are there? That we are trying to avoid the things. And further, you have to go for your study material where you can get it more in details. So, thank you very much for listening patiently. Thank you.